Welcome, everyone. This is Virginia Parsons, your Hangout mentor and the host of the Inspirational Business Women show, where you know it is my passion and my purpose to provide you, the entrepreneur, with a gold mine of entrepreneurial tips from inspirational business women in the know. And I'm thrilled today to have someone very special, and that is none other than Kari Gray, who has an incredible story to share with you and how she transformed all of that into one of the most amazing healthcare alternatives. So I'm really looking forward to sharing all of her inspiration with you today. Now, you know that today's show is brought to you by hangout-marketing.com, where you can receive a free Hangout marketing assessment. Now, this assessment only takes a couple of minutes, and if you haven't done it yet, you owe it to yourself to jump on and take that assessment, because it's going to measure your skill set and your knowledge base and how to use Hangouts on air to brand, grow, and market you and your business. I would love to chat with you about how you can use Hangouts. So if you fill that out, you might even qualify for a free strategy session with me. We'll really get into the nitty-gritty of using Hangouts to grow your business. So all you have to do to take advantage of that is text the word success, SUCCESS. Text it to 307-269-2040. So go ahead and take advantage of that, won't you? Now, I also want to thank you for being here. I know that your time is valuable, and when you take the time to join us live on the show, I'm so thrilled that you're here. So please let us know where you're hanging out from, would you? And for those of you catching the show in replay mode, great. I'm thrilled that you're here too, because I know you're going to find this information of great value and interest. And you know, you all can help spread the word about a show like this, because it needs to reach more people. So make sure you go ahead and share this viewing as well, so other people know about it, and we'd really appreciate that. So thanks so much for hanging out with us here today on the Inspirational Business Women show. Now remember, we have an after show, and you're all invited to join us in the after show as well, where you can actually get inside and say hi to me, say hi to our guest Kari, and get some more questions that you might not have had answered during the live show. So please plan to come and join us after the show. I'll be posting the link for that very soon. All right, so let's get into the meat of the show, and that is introducing you to Kari Gray. Now, Kari Gray is the founder and CEO of GreenSurance, and she has an amazing background and so much to share with us around alternative healthcare. And she's got, a whole company here dedicated to providing you, the consumer, and alternative healthcare practitioners with a great alternative in insurance. And so we're talking about that today as the natural alternative to ObamaCare, as we so often refer to it. It's nice to know you have choices, and Kari's going to explain how this insurance can benefit you as a consumer and you if you are a natural health care provider. So I'm so excited to bring this information to you. So what are we going to talk about? Well, what is this GreenSurance that we're advertising here today? And it's not really an advertisement. This is more, let's reveal the information so you can be an informed consumer. So what's in it for me, the consumer? We want to talk about that. And also, who can offer GreenSurance, and why might it be a great fit for all healthcare providers and consumers? So I'm very excited to bring Kari onto the show. Kari, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and say hi to our audience. Oh, and just as soon as I did that, guess what? We just dropped Kari. Well, I'll give her a minute to come back in. She probably pushed the wrong button and fell off, but she's also in Hawaii, in a rather remote part of Hawaii. And, it has a lot to do with how she has changed her priorities, how she has redirected her life in a way that helped her become cancer-free. So I'm going to let you tell you the whole story in just a moment, because it's a very inspired story about a mom who, with 3 children at the age of 23, was given a terminal diagnosis for cancer. Now you can imagine, I just thought about it, just, the stress that you're under just raising kids and doing the best you can. And yet having this thrown in your face, thinking there's nothing you can do. That's what she learned. There was nothing she could do. So she was told about this diagnosis. And so she really had to rethink and reevaluate her approach to living and her approach to health. And it's all unfolded in such a wondrous way that I know you're going to be really inspired by her story. And she's on her way back in here right now, so let's give her a minute. But, that's the challenging part of doing a live broadcast. And look, we're broadcasting all around the world. And so sometimes the internet connections are a little iffy. Do we have you back, Kari?
I am here. I don't know what happened.
Well, welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. So I started a little bit on your story, and you need to just take that effects off, just cancel that effects on Google Effects. It looks like you have that sort of automated. We need to remove that. But there she is. All right, so Kari, come on in and say hi to our audience. And I've already given them a little bit background about the word you got when you were 23 with 3 kids and how that initially impacted your life. So go ahead and first of all say hi, and then share with people, some more details on that story.
Sure. Well, aloha from Hawaii, as you all heard. And thank you for being here. It's a real honor to be here with Virginia and to share with you a story that I hope will be inspiring to you, help you to understand how sometimes when things seem a little overwhelming, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. So basically, as Virginia said, I was 25 years old when I was diagnosed terminal with liver cancer. I was given no chance of survival. I was basically told when it was diagnosed that to go home and get my affairs together. But there was a serious problem, and that was the fact that, well, not only was I young, but I was also a young mother. And to leave your children is just something that anyone who's a parent can understand that's just not going to go down easy. You're not going to give up for the sake of your children, recognizing that no one loves your children the way you do. So that was something that really I was depressed. I was debilitated with emotions. I was overwhelmed. I spent days crying, and I spent days praying as I was crying. And so I really didn't have any idea what to do. I mean, when you have someone like a doctor tell you something that drastic, you don't even initially really think to challenge that. But that's really what happened as I prayed, is I realized that maybe there's something the doctors don't know. Maybe I need to just try more things, try something else, try everything I could until obviously the inevitable happened. And that was really the legacy I wanted to leave my children with, was to know that their mom loved them so much that she did everything she could. And that determination actually pushed me into a new direction that I had never been in. And that was to explore alternative treatments. I really did a lot of networking. This is the old days before the internet. So there was no one that you could really talk to as far as, or resources you could find easily. So you had to network, you had to talk to a lot of people. And that's really how it happened. And I found myself at a naturopathic practitioner. And she basically, again, she knew nothing about my medical diagnosis. I wanted to just see if she was really knew her stuff. And I really didn't have much confidence in natural treatments at that point. But she did find it. And she found the cancer and warned me again of the severity and the imminent doom that I was facing. So I knew she was on the money. And then I told her that I already knew. So she was relieved to know that. But she basically really said words to me that changed my life. And she said, first of all, she said, well, do you believe this? And I said, well, I don't want to. That's why I'm here. And she said, okay. And she said, now, I believe because you're young, you do have a chance. However, this is the only way. She said, first of all, you're going to have to agree to do everything I tell you. And she said, it's going to involve a lot. And she said, you have health insurance? And I said, yes. And she said, well, your health insurance isn't going to pay for any of it, and it's going to be expensive. She said, but you don't have much time. So if you'll accept this, I'll help you. And I said, well, I don't see that I have another choice. So let's get started. So that's basically what happened. Is it really kind of came down to just dismantling my whole life, everything that I ate, that I thought how I dealt with stress, my kids, my, everything, my business, all those things in life really all had to be adjusted because cancer is a crisis, to say the least, and especially when you're terminal. You just don't have any time to not be aggressive and committed. And so that's really what happened. Now, in the process, I was racking up a lot of costs that I was paying out of pocket. And so what I did after several months is I thought, I'm just going to try this. So I took all of my receipts that I had. It was, thousands of dollars at this point. And anyways, and I submitted it to my insurance company just to see. And the letter that came back a couple of weeks later, of course, was a denial letter, refusal of benefits. But what it said was something interesting. It said that we've received your receipts and we are denying all claim. Your treatment methods are unproven and they're out of coverage. And so at that point, I really felt that something needed to change. I had no idea what it was going to be, and I had no idea I was going to be involved in it. But I knew something needed to change. And the only thing was that I did know was that I didn't have the time to fight at that point. So my fight was with cancer, not with an insurance company, because really that's kind of a no-win situation. If anyone's ever tried that, they understand. So basically what happened was about a year later, it was about 8-9 months later.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Okay.
Because this is too important, and I love your story, and we need to hear the whole story, no doubt about it.
All right.
But first of all, I want to say, as a matter of fact, I've got my effects up here, and I want to give you an applause.
Aww.
Because first of all, that is a very devastating diagnosis, yes. And I know that you really prayed deeply for guidance on this and what else you could do, because you really, as I understand it, were given no hope by your traditional doctor. I mean, as far as I really want to make this clear, they did not really have a treatment protocol to offer you at that time. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Well, the exact words the doctor said was, "I'm sorry, your cancer is too advanced for chemo and radiation. It won't work." And what I say is, I'm very thankful, because actually cancer saved my life. Because had I have gotten the chemo and radiation, I probably wouldn't have survived. The way most statistics bear that most people do not survive long-term chemo and radiation treatment. So yeah, I'll just insert this. I have a book I'm writing, and it's called How Cancer Saved My Life, and now maybe yours too. So
yes, I love that. Thank you for putting that plug in there, and let us know when you get it finished, because this happens to people every day. Someone in their family, someone you know and love, is diagnosed, and that they're going to be looking to their doctor in the medical profession. Now, I understand that this was, I think we need to make this clear as well, this was almost 20 years ago then that you were diagnosed.
Actually, it was 27 years ago.
27 years ago. My math is way off. 27 years ago, you were diagnosed with terminal cancer, said you only had months to live. Yep. It was too advanced for any of the traditional treatments that were available at that time. Right. And basically your doctor said, go home and get your affairs in order.
That's what he said to begin with.
Yeah.
And then a second doctor said the same thing when I got a second diagnosis. Yeah.
Okay. So you chose then to go to a naturopath without telling the naturopath your diagnosis, to see how, was this a he or she would respond?
It was a she, yes.
Okay. You rock, women. We love you men too. But I always have to put that plug in there. So she started to work with you, and I'm just not going to let you brush over this because I know people are interested in this. And she gave you a very strict protocol that you said involved a lot of different types of behavior change, diet change, mindset change. I mean, I think she asked a very important question, and that is, do you believe in the diagnosis? Or what I think she meant was, do you believe in the outcome that they've given you in the diagnosis? Did we just lose you? Okay, Kari's frozen up on us again. The challenges of broadcasting overseas into Hawaii. She'll be back in a moment. So I think that these are all important questions. And what I want to do is take a moment, get over to my comment tracker, say hi to some people while she's coming back on, and hopefully we'll unfreeze herself. So Jen Bell, welcome, hanging out from San Diego. Rachel Orsi, thank you for being here from Baltimore. She's also got her friend Megan watching, and I really appreciate that, Rachel. I think it's terrific that you have brought a friend on board. Very important. I'm waiting for the rest of you while we wait for Kari to get back into us to let us know where you're hanging out from. And also, if any of you who have had similar kind of experiences, do you know someone who struggled with a terminal diagnosis? Are you experienced in cancer therapies? Are you a practitioner who treats people in alternative ways? Or are you a traditional practitioner? All of these questions are relevant because of what Kari's story did, how it basically became a defining moment for her. Not only because she went to a naturopath who put her onto a whole different path, a whole different lifestyle, a whole different way of looking at her life, nutrition, mindset, activity. All these things I know are very important, and I know you're interested in them. So are you someone who's involved in that kind of treatment? Because what Kari did after all of those years of figuring this out is she realized there had to be a better way, correct? There had to be a better way to help people who had similar challenges that she had. And you don't necessarily have to have a terminal diagnosis. The point being is that you have the capacity with what she has created to be able to get the care that you need from a whole range of practitioners. So if you are one of those people like I am who believe in alternative and preventative healthcare and who spend your hard-earned personal dollars on it because it's not covered by insurance, you're going to find that this is a very informative, webinar, hangout, whatever you want to call it, from Kari. So I really appreciate your being here. Julianne Blake, hi, how are you? She said, I made it. And she's very happy that we're doing this. I know that it's something Julianne has struggled with in her life for many years, and she is absolutely a master at alternative healthcare modalities. So thank you, Julianne, for being here. All right, we're still waiting for Kari to come back and join us. While we're at it, any questions that you have, anything that you might want to know about that I can share with you until we get Kari back with us, I'm waiting for that to happen now. All right, let me keep seeing who else is getting in and joining us today. Well, it looks like most people are catching us in Replay City, which is also a great place to get this information. Now, you know, it's also available, and I'll just take a moment to let you know about my Hangout Mentor app. So if you haven't downloaded that app, go to either your Google Play Store or to your iTunes Store and download the app called Hangout Mentor. That app is totally free, and it will give you the ability to take and get these shows anytime you want. You can get them live broadcast on the app, or you can see them later at your convenience. So the app is a really easy way to keep track of the different shows that I'm doing. Kari's coming back on now. That's what I call, this is a spunky, determined lady, right? So she's not going to give up on anything, including the broadcast.
Well, if it's, I think it has something to do with, we had some bad storms and they're calling for some more coming in, and it may have something to do with my really bad connection today. This is really awful. I've never had one this bad. So sorry for all the interruptions here.
That's all right. We love the spunk that it shows, and that's part of what obviously carried you through a very difficult time. So I just want to take a few more minutes before we get into what GreenSurance is and the evolution of it, of what treatment protocols the naturopath puts you on. Number one, first question. Second question, is that the only alternative healthcare modality that you used during this period?
Yes, actually, well, there was a lot involved because basically the first thing that she had me do was read a book by Dr. I think it's William Crook is his name, and it's called The Yeast Connection. And I'd had other health issues that had been being treated, always with antibiotics. And anyways, and so that was the first thing I had to recognize, was that I had to go on a basically months of yeast cleanses. So that was the first thing. I had to change everything from what I cooked in. My cookware had to change. My water had to change, water filtration systems. And then I had to take, I literally hundreds of herbs a week. I had handfuls every day that I took to support, build, cleanse, detoxify, all those kinds of things. That's just kind of some of it. And then when you throw into the equation, I had to do like emotional clearing, get rid of the toxic emotions that we hold on to, and the anger, apparently the liver stores anger. So I'd had some very toxic people, sadly to say, in my life as a young person. And so though I didn't realize it, I had harbored those negative emotions in my liver. So that was just part of it. So yes, there were multiple practitioners actually that were involved in the treatment, but anyways, my primary care physician, my naturopath, she was the one that kind of led me in all the directions that I needed to go next and what I needed to do. And even it actually changed in the way I even had to change the way I disciplined my children, just everything, the stress, the way I did my business. I had to change that. I had to get more. I had a business at the time, so I had to get more employees to take some of the load off because of the stress load I was under was too much. And anybody that knows anything about cancer knows the first thing you've got to do is get rid of the stress in your life. And so stress comes from many different ways and forms, and all of those things, obviously had a big financial toll on each one of them.
Oh, thank you for really bringing that into more clarity for people, because I think it's important to realize it is a mind-body approach, isn't it? When you're changing everything about the way you think and you act and how you take care of yourself, that's very powerful. Now, how long before your markers for cancer changed dramatically?
Well, I was diagnosed in, I think, around September of 1988, and in October of 89 is when I was diagnosed cancer-free. So, and I probably didn't start going to the naturopath until probably November, December. So that's why I'm going to say it was, by the time I actually got started, it might have been the first of the year. And by the time I was actually cancer-free, it was, it was a miracle. And that was what they told me, was that, when my naturopathic doctor, anyways, had helped me to a certain point, I really wanted to go back and get more blood work to see how I was doing, because I had no idea at this point. And we had cleansed so many organs and done so many detoxes, and I was really diligent and really committed to everything I'd been doing. And anyways, when I went to my medical doctor, the one who diagnosed me originally, and I wanted to just get some follow-up blood work, that was really a shift. And I'll hold it there for just a minute. But anyways, there was a real shift that happened. And needless to say, that was when I found out I was cancer-free.
I'm in awe. I really am. Because because even from back then, when I know the treatments aren't as advanced as they are today in the traditional field, you really did some things that we all need to pay attention to. You don't need to have cancer to realize how important alternative healthcare can be in your life, in your sense of well-being, in your energy, in your productivity, in the way you relate to other people. It's very powerful. And I have used alternative healthcare my life, all my life, and I think it's served me well so far.
I think
so.
So
let's get on to the evolution of GreenSurance, because this is such an innovative and, to me, provocative program. And you had to have put so much thought into it and think there's got to be a better way. So let's talk about what it is and how it evolved from this experience.
So basically how it evolved was, originally when I said I was denied insurance, that was really where it started. Now, where it kicked into another gear was, it was really a progression of events that actually happened over the next 2 decades. And the next one was when I went back to my medical doctor to get those follow-up tests. when I told her, well, she was shocked I was alive, first of all. And then when I told her what I'd been doing, and then I was shocked that she didn't want to know. And she was very clear. She did not want to know. And I was very perplexed by that. So when she came back with the results a few days later, again, she made it really clear she didn't want to know. And I said, okay, wait a second. You're telling me I'm cancer free. You're telling me I'm a miracle, but you're telling me you don't want to know. And she says, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. And I said, okay. So that's when I started to realize that there's something here. There's something going on that I just really wasn't aware of. I wasn't conscious of at the time. That years of other experiences just really helped me to understand that there was, sadly, a money motive that has really kept the the natural treatments as treated like the redheaded stepchild, as they say. And so basically what happened was I really was committed to wellness and health, but I was always searching for this elusive health insurance for natural treatments because I knew what it cost, and I knew that I would not want to be put in that financial position again. And I felt that, if you have to get health insurance, you might as well have one that gives you everything that you need. And that was really interesting because no matter how many insurance agents I talked to, the conversation always turned out the same, which was, great idea. Nope, don't have any such a thing. But if you ever find that, let me know because I'd like it too. So that went on. Okay. Now, what really happened though in 2013 is I was offered a career change to insurance of all things, and I accepted it. I thought, well, let's give this a try. I had never done insurance before. So I, anyways, got my license and got involved in the industry. And that's when I started to really delve into the dynamics and the mechanics of how insurance works. Now, what I came to understand was this, that insurance, basically, as we all know, is a profit-driven industry. Okay, that's not a secret. But what I didn't understand until I got into insurance was I didn't understand why my insurance had denied my request for coverage years ago. I found out why. Okay, and then what I did was I created the solution, which was I wrote a patent in July of, I have a timestamp, July 2013, of the first holistic health insurance plan. And anyways, and that was how I originally, that's where GreenSurance came from, because what I wanted to do was to market this and see if the public had a response to something that was innovative and green, and that it would be a new kind of insurance. That's why it's not called green insurance. It's called GreenSurance because it wasn't insurance yet, but that was the direction it was heading. So that's really kind of how this progression of steps migrated from one thing to the other. And then of course now it's not even insurance, because now, thanks to ObamaCare, which came out in October of 2013, and as we know, shut down the federal government, canceled people's policies, raised their rates, and all of that negativity really gave me an opportunity to delve into the law. And when I delved into the law, what I found was that there are actually exemptions from the law that certain qualifying organizations were given IRS status for. And what that meant was they could extend that status then to members of their organization. And so that's what GreenSurance, that's the migration of how it's come into being, is that, and another element I failed to insert here was that in all of the conversations with literally thousands of people about a green insurance health plan or health insurance, was this negative feedback that I kept getting from the way people feel that insurance treats them. And well, what could I say? I had to agree. So I, looking at ObamaCare and realizing that there was a way out of the insurance trap, really is what GreenSurance is all about. It's about giving people the best of what they need, which is a health plan that gives you conventional medicine when you need it, and gives you all the alternative treatments that you could possibly ever want or need inside of a health plan that gets you exempt from ObamaCare, while it also cuts your costs to do all of that, because what we are is a nonprofit, so we're taking the profit out of this equation, which is what insurance really has complicated everything with.
Well, this is so powerful, Kari, because you're talking about finding a solution from a problem that millions and millions of people have had in this country.
Right.
And saying there's got to be a better way. And, asking that question is what does start the process going to create something brand new, a whole new concept. And here you've got a patent on it. Again, you go, girl. This is a feisty girl, says, I'm finding a better way. And that's what she's continued to do. Now, you're talking about it's also because it's a nonprofit and it's a co-op based program,
right,
that it's beneficial to any consumer because it will cover their standard health care needs in addition to the alternative health care needs. So how does somebody, and who would qualify for that? Let's talk about that first. Who would qualify for this program, and why might they want to consider it over a traditional healthcare plan?
Well, those are great questions. Anybody under the age of 64 actually qualifies for the healthcare plan. And why would they want to? Well, clearly that's something that's a personal choice. But I guess here's the thing. Einstein said if you want to define insanity as doing the same things over and over, expecting different results, if you found that insurance is really not meeting your need, if you really find that the frustration of dealing with high premiums, very large deductibles, and really no choice, and really hardly anything in the way of natural treatments, if those things just don't set well, then that's why we invite people to check out what GreenSurance has to offer, excuse me, as the alternative to what has gone on for all these decades. And really what we think about GreenSurance is that it's really a decades past due solution that's refreshing, it's organic, it's all about giving people the power of choice, because we believe choice is powerful medicine.
Sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
So that's, I think, something that everyone needs to look into. Now, Kari has provided for us, and of course, we've gone past our time, which I knew we would, especially when Kari dropped off. Thank you for hanging in with us, and those of you watching the replay, thank you as well, because I think you'll find this information is so valuable that actually Kari is going to be doing a series of presentations starting next week. And so if you want more details, put down, invite me to the presentation on GreenSurance, because she's going to go into the nitty-gritty. And you may want to share this with alternative healthcare practitioners that you know and that you already believe in, because they probably don't know yet about GreenSurance and they're going to want to. So I'm going to post here a link from Kari that gives you more information on GreenSurance, and then I really would like to have you, if you're all interested in learning more about this or sending this information to a health practitioner that you know, then put that in the comments section as well. Even if you're watching this in replay mode, I need to know if you'd like to be invited to that. So Kari, while I paste this in the comments section, would you please tell them who can offer GreenSurance?
Well, quantify your question. Who can offer GreenSurance as far as...
Yeah, what are the different providers of GreenSurance at this point? I know you have some, and I know you're looking for more, so I want you to clarify that.
Okay, well, that's a great question. So basically, any provider, anywhere, really. I mean, that sounds really wide open, I know, but basically any licensed practitioner. That's what you have to just know. So conventional or natural, if you're a state licensed practitioner, then you would qualify as a person who provides services or treatments that would be reimbursed under the health plan.
All right, so that basically means the full gamut, and that's what Kari's talking about, is that this is insurance for everyone, and it provides insurance both in traditional ways. So if you go to a traditional care provider, it's going to cover it. If you go to an alternative healthcare provider, it's going to be providing coverage for it. Correct, Kari? Right,
except it's not insurance. So let's clarify that.
Okay.
It's a co-op, and as a co-op, we basically are self-funded. So anybody understands the difference between a credit union and a bank? if you understand the difference, they perform the same services, but they do it from completely different solutions. So basically a co-op is, or excuse me, a credit union is a co-op. It's a member organization, whereas a bank obviously is a private entity that's for profit. So that's really the difference between what GreenSurance is about and what the health insurance industry is doing. So we are about people, we're about our members, and we're about empowering people with choices they've never been given and won't be given through health insurance.
Fabulous. Now we've got a question here from Julianne. She says, yes, I'd like to be invited. Are coaches eligible? MFTs would be correct. What is an MFT? I'm sorry, I plead ignorance.
Yes, I don't know what that is either. I'm not for sure.
Julianne, let us know what an MFT is.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not for sure what that acronym is. But basically, if you are state licensed, then sure. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes providers aren't state licensed. They may be certified, or they may have a license, but they don't have a fiduciary responsibility to the state. So if that's the case, what a practitioner would do is they would work with a state licensed practitioner. So for instance, if it's a coach and they're not state licensed, they could work with maybe a chiropractor. We do have some chiropractors that have contacted us, and they have kind of a comprehensive health plan, or excuse me, health services that they offer, and they are very excited to know that they can use this health plan as an alternative for self-pay. And that's really what we're talking about here, because we know that insurance provides conventional. Okay, that's not a secret, but it's this whole self-funded model that has really it puts people in a paradigm, which is, if you're making money and you have the liquidity that you can afford to self-fund your treatment, well, that's one thing. But then what happens when a health crisis strikes? Then a person loses their income. Now, how are they going to be able to afford that? And that's where the practitioners come in, and now they're put in a moral dilemma. And so really what GreenSurance is about making self-funding obsolete. And instead of having large out-of-pocket expenses plus ObamaCare penalties, you don't have to do that. You can really control the cost of your health care with our co-op health plan.
Okay, I think this is just so exciting for both the patient who wants to use alternative healthcare and for these practitioners. So Julianne is talking about, and that's what I thought, for a licensed therapist. She's a licensed therapist out of California.
Okay. Yes.
So you would qualify, Julianne. So yes, you make sure you come to our presentations coming up next week so you can get the nitty gritty on that.
Yes, and she can also go to our website. I'll just give you the domain. It's mygreensurance.org, or you can go to .com, either one. And if you look under the providers tab, there's actually several pages of information that'll really kind of just give you the essence of what this is all about. And of course, we'll go into more detail on those webinars that we're hosting for practitioners.
Okay, so it's mygreensurance.org or .com. That's where you can get the information. Also, the PDF that I provided for you, that will get you to Kari's website. And now I'm going to give you, Kari, I'm going to give you the floor for a minute to just put in some final words about your passion, why you think this is going to be the best alternative for people, and why you know that this is going to take off. And I will go ahead while you're talking and post the link to come into the after show. So if you have any other questions for Kari, and come on in and join us. So go ahead, Kari, will you?
Thank you. Well, I feel very passionate and committed, and I've dedicated my career to this. And the reason why is because too many times I have seen people that I love die needlessly. Why? Because they always said, my health insurance doesn't provide that treatment. And that's really something that has to be taken out of our vernacular. It's so unconscionable to think that lives are being traded in exchange for profits when natural treatments have been around for decades and have proven over and over to save lives that conventional treatments cannot touch. And for there to be no health plan, for that burden to be put on the people that are already burdened by their health insurance premiums and their out-of-pocket and their co-pays and their deductibles and all of these other things. In fact, U.S. bankruptcy court statistics say that medical bills are the #1 cause for bankruptcy. So really the system, while it's working for those who are being made wealthy from it, and I call it the wealth care system, it's not health care. And it's something that we're not going to change, but we don't have to participate. And that's really what the essence of GreenSurance is about, is if choice and empowerment and having the right to have a say in your healthcare means anything to you, and if this whole thing about it's not provided by my health insurance just doesn't set well with you, well, then I think maybe you need to take a look at what GreenSurance is about, because we're speaking your language. And that's what we're all about, is giving people the rights and the freedoms that they've never been given up to this point.
Wonderful. So see, you have a choice. If you're someone that you love and care about, let them know that they may have a choice. If you, like I, love to use alternative healthcare, now you know that you have a choice. So check out the PDF that I've posted. Come on in and join us in the after show if you want to continue this discussion a little bit further. And again, I want to remind you, if you'd like to be invited to the upcoming programs that Kari is offering next week and the week after, to get into the nitty-gritty of how this insurance can work for you, whether or not you're a healthcare provider or a consumer, please join us on one of those shows. It is Kari's passion to get the word out that there is an option, that you do have choices, which puts the control back on you. And you know what else I love about it is you now can be a lot more stress-free, knowing that you have these options, that you don't have to worry about, well, what if I get that horrible C word and now I'm not sure what else I can do but do what my insurance providers have. You have an option with GreenSurance as a co-op. So Kari, I'm so pleased to help you get the word out on this, and I hope that you'll come and join us in the after show, because Kari's, her connection's still with us, so take advantage of that while she's still here, won't you? Otherwise, thank you so much, Kari. I appreciate your knowledge, your passion, your wisdom, and the solution that you're providing for people. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a real honor.
All right, and until next week, go have a healthy, vibrant, wonderful week, and we'll see you next week on the Inspirational Business Women Show. Bye-bye now.